The universe always has things weighing on me, reverberating around in me to reflect on, to look at in my history, my lifetimes, presently, and moving forward. And all of that has this great cataclysmic impact on myself, my body, my world, and my energy, and how I'm showing up and what the fuck I'm doing. And sometimes the energy and the transits of the planets are so potent that it is such a brain blast, it's such a body blast, it's such an energy blast, because it is a moment where it doesn't take no for an answer. It only takes a yes all in. I am always an all in type of a gal. I love to go all in. I love to swim around in everything. And sometimes when that brain blast happens, it's extremely frustrating because I have so many themes happening at once and there's a silence that happens. And some of that silence is connected to my own grooming, where I self-censor and I worry too greatly about hurting other people's feelings or calling them out. And the current vibe, the current theme, one of the many, is to not worry so much about that there is this whole spectrum that we all walk, and it creates our wholeness. And it's important to understand that spectrum so that we can understand our wholeness, so that we can learn how to turn the dial of ourselves, the volume and the expression, so that we can understand that all of these things exist at the same time, simultaneously. It's a method, it's an art, it's a mastery of learning that we have choice in any moment. We have choice in how we're showing up. We have choice in how we're existing, regardless of how we're being blasted by all of the energies that are currently present. As the mother of shadow walkers, as the Nyx elixir, that nighttime shadow medicine, I am a very magnetic, charismatic, powerful being. I'm an old as fuck soul. I'm an all-in type of a soul. I walk in the details. I crave more details. I crave to exist boldly in this world and have worked very diligently and hard to excavate myself, to mine the gems of my energy body that has been here since far before the beginning of fucking anything. I am the beginning. I am the origin. And to understand that, to walk as that, has been very confronting and isolating and lonely at times. And now it exists more as an exhilaration. And learning more about ourselves helps us to position ourselves in life in such a way that supports our soul's destiny. And one of the themes that has been coming up for me lately as this woman, as this being, this mother that is called to teach the world, to show up for the world, with the world, in a way that offers the art of liberation and empowerment. Understanding who the fuck I am means that I will not catch myself any longer, and being very mindful of that type of language too, because never say never means you're signing immediately on the dotted line to show up, to experience exactly what you said you never would. I will refuse with the deepest part of my soul to operate within the energy channel of monogamy. Because as that woman, as the mother, it is a containment and a prison. And to some degree, we are hopefully all aware of this in the ways in which we're indoctrinated and groomed and silenced. It's important to recognize who the fuck we are so that we can recognize the impact of these channels that we sign up for. We're taught to follow the path and the breadcrumbs of this romantic story that ends up being the nightmare story. And yet if we claim the nightmare, if we claim the violence of that, the taking from ourselves of that, then we really have this powerful reclamation of soul and self, of energy body, of truth. We can annihilate that distortion. And it doesn't mean that we love any less. It doesn't mean that we are any less committed. If anything, it can mean that we're more committed because we're actually supporting the soul's all in versus this egoic all in. And the egoic all in within this monogamy channel that's connected to marriage, it's connected to ownership. Literally, it's connected to ownership. It's connected to a set of rules that are governed by double standards. You get to do this, where one person gets to operate outside of those rules and demand of the other one to exist in them, to be crunched and suffocated in them. And all of the traditional egoic relationship channels are built from that. And that is one of the many, many reasons why people suffocate within a relationship. It's not about not being in a relationship. It's not about not being intimate. It's about learning how the ego cannot experience intimacy, because it leaves all of these doors open, all of these cheating doorways where your energy is not harnessed. You keep the escape hatch open just in case, so that you can abandon yourself, because that channel is so much about abandonment of self, abandonment of this great soulful self-possession and self-ownership and celebration. It's all of those things. And the soul's intimacy is about that real connection, that real possession, because there's possession in that as well. It's a type of possession that doesn't take away from. It only adds to, it's giving, and it's capable of receiving. In this egoic monogamy, it's about taking, it's about energy harvesting, it's about feeding off of the other person, because there's such a lack of self-definition. You are still operating in that place of being defined and seeking that validation of definition externally. And when you really land and exist and walk in this soulful path, you understand that. And to understand that, you've had to walk it out. You've had to walk through it. You've had to go in one doorway and exit out the other. You've had to be changed by that. And the only way you're changed by something is by going all the way into it as many times as necessary. I'm so committed to that. As I said earlier, I love that, because the change that happens is in that cycle, in that moment. It's complete. And there's an explosion that happens within self, where you explode out of this prison that's been handed to you as some sort of romantic story, and you recognize it for the nightmare that it is, and you become the monster, and you explode the prison, and you're fucking, everything is sharp and fine-tuned and precise, and there's nothing quite like that feeling. And then you land in this beautiful and potent truth of the soul, and it's not a negation of any of the wholeness. It's not a negation, it's an understanding. And you recognize that you don't have to build walls, because if you're building walls, you're still walking in that egoic expression of life. All of your walls can be down. You can be tender and vulnerable, ferocious and fierce. You can be this committed, intimate, all-in dedication without sacrificing yourself, without having this ridiculous fortification boundaries where you're still suffocating. You're still fucking suffocating. You're giving nothing, you're receiving nothing. And it's this removal, that's this starvation of the soul. And understanding that soul path is about nourishment. And monogamy, for me, in this traditional egoic way, is a death. It is a death. And I've spent a lot of time and a lot of years in different ways in that channel, learning to understand it. And one of the things that I understand is that I no longer have a desire to convince you that the details that someone is walking out, the behaviors, the actions that they're taking within that channel is cheating, is manipulative, is taking away from the nourishment of the soul. Because when you're fully committed to self, when you're fully committed to the intimacy with another soul, you don't leave doors open, because a door from one soul to another is that whole nourishment. I don't need to follow people half my age on social media and comment on their quote unquote sexy fucking posts that they make, because I don't need anything from that. I have my eroticism that I'm connected to inside of me. I don't need some external validation for that. And it's not about posting that content being incorrect. It's not about right or wrong, bad or good. It's simply about, are you soul nourishing or ego nourishing? It's about the actions taken from someone who is following content like that, commenting on content like that, DMing content like that, when they're in the process also of stepping into a soul intimacy with themselves or with someone else that is going to muddy the waters. It's going to create trauma that is unnecessary. It's a double standard. It's an example of double standard behavior, because you're not going to want your partner to do that, yet you're going to do that. And then there's a whole system of gaslighting that comes in around that tries to verify it with a righteous type of a reason. Oh, it's just support. It's just this. And I've spent a lot of crazy making time in my life trying, crying, pleading for it to be understood that that's fuck ass behavior. It's trash behavior. It's not respectful behavior. It's lame, because that is how it exists in a soulful led life. And the monogamy channel, and that is just one example of behavior that can live within the monogamous channel. It's one that I've dealt with that's been very fucking brain-breaking feeling at times, and that's why I'm using that example. And it's one of the ones too where I have gaslit the fuck out of myself. I've taken on the gaslighting that I've experienced as if it's my own, and communicated to myself that, oh, well, it clearly is something wrong with me. Why am I bothered by that? When in the truth of it, it's trash ass behavior. It does not support a soulful intimacy, and it takes away from it. Now, there can be other parts of a person that is absolutely nourishing that soul path, yet now we're in this, it's not an all in. It's not a wholeness all in. It's a partial all in. So it can still be an all in. It's just not a wholeness all in. You've got ego happening and you've got soul happening. And one of the things that I've learned with not trying to convince anyone anymore and really practicing that and dedicating that to myself is that my soul is all in, and I can be all in with your soul and those parts that are also soulful, and have respect for that part, and at the same time, simultaneously, know that I'm not crazy. It's trash behavior. It's disrespectful, and I don't have or carry respect for that type of behavior. That is a place within someone that they have not fully interrogated and taken a truthful responsibility, accountability for, and changed it. It's a part that's gaslighting. So I don't need to focus on that, yet I'm going to be very present and aware that it is there and that it is active, and I'm going to have a deep understanding of where that type of behavior also wants you to turn your attention towards it. So it's a distracting behavior. Traditional relationship channels are all about turning your attention away from yourself, away from your soul, and to something else. And so I want to have an understanding of those channels, because it's important for all of us to always know where we self-sabotage. Where do we begin to turn away from ourselves, to look to the left or the right? Often for me, it's I'm pulled to the left energetically. Go be distracted over here. Turn your attention over here. Because it's that attunement to that external validation, that external drama, that external fuckery. So as a powerful woman that exists in the world and is very, very interested in her own power and in the mechanisms that want to distort from that want to steal that want to take and manipulate and mold into something that satisfies this ego, I want to understand all of that, so that I can be the boldest, most potent being that I am capable of being here. And I refuse to sacrifice the tenderness, the intimacy, the connectivity, simply because I see the world in a vastly different way. I walk in details that most others do not, and those details very much matter. I have learned very much that the small things make the big things. So if you pay attention to the small things and you change the small things, understand them, and don't let them run your life or diminish them as if they don't matter, then you begin to change the large things in your life. And those are the large things that you don't like, as well as the large things that you do and you want more of. You have a greater understanding of everything when you walk in the details. And as someone who, again, walks in more details than the majority, if not all of the fucking world, it's been a very confronting place for me. It's been a very, again, lonely place for me at times. And for me to walk in a celebration of that instead of a self-negation of that, it's important to understand all of these channels and claim for myself that I will not catch myself operating under these labels of traditional relationship dynamics, because it is a soul death for me. And coming back from a soul death, what feels like a soul death, is fucking exhausting. It's fucking exhausting, especially after you have done it so many times, because that's also a part of these traditional relationship channels, is that one, if not all parties involved, go through massive destruction. And again, we have creation that can be born from destruction, and this is death to life, life to death. And at the same time, there has to come a point where it's not on repeat. And one of the ways that we stop the repeat of this is by choosing to not operate within certain words, because each word is connected to an energetic channel, and that energetic channel is formed by the egoic collective consciousness. And the egoic collective consciousness does not think for itself. It just lets itself get pulled to the left and go into whatever escape hatch is open and roll around in that garbage, that trash for a while, and gaslight oneself into calling it something usually religious or spiritual or esoteric, some cool name on it, so that you don't just call it what it is, trash ass fucking behavior. You're escaping from your soul, you're escaping from the person across from you, and you're trying to carve a way into some sort of validation that really makes the ego thrum with excitement. And once that thrumming starts, it's this whole collective egoic consciousness that is then thrumming its fucking song and saying, this is correct, this is right, and you have a right to do it. Don't you deserve to do it? So it's this whole victim-y, abusive nonsense that happens, and it's a loop. So when we choose to not operate under a certain word, then we're choosing to step out of that egoic collective consciousness. And when we do that, we begin to hear our soul. We hear it in the details. We hear its own frequency and thrumming, that song that it's been wanting to sing, that it has been singing, that we have been hearing and ignoring, because oftentimes the thrum of the egoic collectiveness is much more enticing because it's that immediate satisfaction. Whereas the soul satisfaction is immediate, and at the same time, it doesn't fucking care about that. It cares about experience. It cares about longevity and sustainability. It cares about expansion. Whereas the egoic collective consciousness, that egoic path, is about let's rise, let's rise. It's about the religious distortion, that indoctrination, the light propaganda, the being addicted to the masks of everyone and addicted to putting on your own masks to meet the mask of someone else so that they can say, you're super hot. And you can say back, they want me. And so then you feel this fake desire that has no sustainability to it, no longevity to it. And it just twists and distorts all of that. So, as a powerful, magnetic, charismatic, badass of a motherfucking woman who has walked these channels backwards and forwards and turned herself inside and out, you're not going to catch me operating under the prison of the word monogamy.